Well, switching to the perform find by natural language that I was playing around with a little bit. Um, the this assets file, everybody I'm sure is aware. When Claris creates this file for us, if we do new file, up here, create new, and we tell it we want the assets template, Claris creates it blank, and um, that's one of the great things ChatGPT or any of the AI engines are good at these days is creating dummy data. So I had ChatGPT give me 5,000 records with um, name, description, serial number, type, vendor, price, and purchase date populated. Um, it's possible I could have asked for image, but I didn't try to do that. Um, so that gave me a little bit of test data. It's got some different data here. You can see the last query I tried. This was just this morning that I was playing with this. It was a stupid test on my part. Um, the perform natural language find is it's using the AI to help create the FileMaker find. It's not doing anything more complicated than that. So really the command is just automatically creating the find requests for you. So my question, which was find all records that are networking hardware, is nonsensical because none of the FileMaker data is classified as quote unquote networking hardware. And there's no way to kind of, in a backward sort of way, take advantage of the AI's other knowledge to tell it for it to know that that this thing here, this IBM switch is in fact networking hardware. I asked it this question before I had thought about it very hard. On the other hand, if I want to ask another question that's a lot more that's based on the data that's actually here, um, I can say, give me all the records that are IBM and price under 5,000. And I had it put up a custom dialog so I could see a little bit of information about the results. So there's 353 records in here. That's my found set now. And I can, if I wanted to, I could step through here and prove to myself that they're all IBM under 5,000. So that's kind of cool. I was listening to one of those Claris Live webinars last week, and I forget who it was that was saying that it might not be very long before this is considered basically a standard expected feature in most FileMaker solutions. I mean, if you can give your users this kind of capability without having to make them learn find request terminology and Boolean search terminology, why wouldn't you, I guess? An interesting thing that I hadn't realized that I learned in that same session, um, to illustrate what this function is doing, is that I don't use this function very often, but we've got the function that restores the last find or that modifies the last find request. I hardly ever use it. But if you use that, it'll show you the find request that this script step is creating. So this is the script step that the perform find by natural language created, using the AI to create the find request, basically. So that's kind of an interesting tidbit that you can actually look at what the AI did.
It's worth pointing out that credits for ChatGPT. You can use different models in ChatGPT, so you can use less expensive models. But
Right.
what's also helpful if you're testing would be to use a service like Open Router, where instead of because you want to try Gemini, you want to try ChatGPT, you want to try Claude, you want to try some open models if you are thinking about hosting, and you can do all of that through different services like Open Router, where you just pay credit $20, $5, whatever you want. You're not having to pay $5 into the Claude API credit and $20 into the ChatGPT API credit. You can do it all in one place. You have one endpoint, but you can then select the models that you want to try and work with ones that are going to work for the solution. And then once you know, Are you going to use, for this, you don't need a model that's really complicated to be able to understand the natural language. You can use a really low end, almost free version from somewhere. Um, then then you're not paying a bunch of credits, and you're not having to open a bunch of API credit accounts with all the different providers in order to test their different models. So I would highly recommend that. As John was going through these steps, it's, I was like, oh yeah, you got to go to ChatGPT and add in your API credits, and it's like, well, I don't want to put $5 or $10. I mean, yes, I will, but I don't want to have to do that for Gemini. I don't want to have to do that for Claude. I don't want to have to do that for ChatGPT. And then, Perplexity is the next one, and pretty soon you've got, you've spent a small chunk of change for API credits just for testing, and you have no, that's money you've just sort of lost. Because anyway.
ChatGPT or the AI is not performing a query on your data. What the AI in this case is doing is taking this natural language thing that I typed in and converting it to, that's why it's relatively modestly, that's why the cost is relatively modest, because there is no data. So here's my GPT account, and here's all my queries for today. And with and I just got this going today. In my previous testing, I had not gotten around to adding the $10 to the account. And so I've performed 4 or 5 queries now, and it's still showing less than a penny. So I don't know what this costs yet because it hasn't gotten to a penny yet. I know it's a penny or less, but exactly how much I don't know yet. Um, if you had your whole company using this, I mean, to Zandon's point, if you were gonna, if cost turned out to be an issue here, you probably want to switch to a local LLM so that you didn't have API fees. Um,
Yeah, for
to
this, I would imagine that the tokens are so small that, because
yeah,
it's like a penny for like 100,000 tokens or something. What model you're using really determines, but the tokens to get this natural language, FileMaker format is just basically a translation.
yeah.
And it's such a small token usage that I can't imagine. You may have hundreds and hundreds of queries before you actually exceed that penny mark.
To Zandon's point, you can see my token count's 3,000. Um, so if I'm only paying, I don't know what I'm paying, to be honest. I don't know what I'm paying per 100,000 tokens or anything at the moment. But the cost is relatively low.